Hi, my name's Amanda. I'm a coach and a trance channel, and welcome back to my series called Spirit School. Every single week, I invite forward the spirit guides to teach us something new. That's it. Just fascinate me. That's all I'm looking for. So, the way this works is I call the spirit guides forward and I just set the intention that I want to learn something new today. I want to be inspired. I want to be surprised, and I want to be intrigued. And every single week, it's been like a new lesson that they've had to teach us. And it's been really fascinating, the perspectives that they've shared. And I just want to extend the invite to all of you to comment below or message me on social media at Amanda Lauren Blau on Instagram or TikTok and let me know if there's anything that you are curious about and that you want to learn more about. And we can turn it into an entire episode so that all of us are learning from spirit together and expanding our consciousness and awareness and transcending this experience for whatever lies beyond it with that new perspective. So I'm just going to close my eyes. I'm going to tune in with them and I'm going to see what they want to share with us today. And I feel like I hear some laughing. So let's check in and see um, why that might be. Give me a second. Okay, so they're showing me a finger extended, like pointing forward. And the finger is pointing to some location in the distance. And now they're just kind of zooming in on where that finger is pointing to, where it's directing us to go. And we're just opening the door into a new existence of some sort. And we're opening the door into a new awareness. So they're just showing me the image of the door opening into the brain, into the mind, kind of symbolizing, okay, we're about to open your mind to something new. Okay, where are you guys going with this? Okay, so they're just showing me, do you want me to talk about this? They're showing me scales, like the scales tipping in one direction, and they're just showing all of the stuff that we carry in our mind on a day-to-day basis, like that fills our thoughts, that fills our mind, and how all of those things are tipping the scale one way. And they're taking that finger that was pointing us in this direction and they're taking it and they're pressing down on the opposite end of this scale so that we can tip the scale back into balance so that we don't feel so bogged down by our own stuff. Okay, where are you guys going with this? They're just saying to trust where they're taking us. Okay, of course, of course. Okay, what else? So they're just zoning in on the eye and how the eye sees the eye, your eyes move through the world and you take in everything that you observe. You see the pain and the suffering of those around you. And there's a part of you that feels the heaviness of it, but at the same time, you're already so bogged down by everything that you're feeling, and now witnessing their pain and their suffering. It's like you kind of have to decom compartmentalize and kind of shut it out. So although you're observing it and it's weighing on you, there's a part of you that can't fully let it in or open your heart to it because there's just so much already that you're carrying, that you're holding. And the scales are tipped so far already into an area of feeling like despair that it's just too much for your little container, your body, your energy body, your physical body, your mind, your heart to hold. And so you've had to kind of close yourself off from certain experiences for that reason, for a self-preservation reason. And they're saying like that is nothing to be ashamed of. That is so valid. And they encourage you to create boundaries for yourself, to protect your peace, to protect your mental health. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And oftentimes it can feel shameful to do that. It can feel like we shouldn't be doing that. We're not like it's better to like try to help other people and to save other people and to be there for other people that need us or that don't have help in the way that we might. And if we have the capacity or the availability to help them, that we should. And they're saying that you get to determine whether or not that's true. That's a belief system that you've picked up from somewhere that's adding to the weight of the scale. So that belief system is creating some heaviness inside of you, some feelings of judgment and shame of your own actions and modes of operating. And that's something that they want you to weigh heavily to see, okay, can I take that off the scale so I can feel a little bit better about the choices that I'm making, knowing that I'm simply doing it for my own benefit, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no point in tipping the scale even further for you if it mean like to help somebody else, if it means sacrificing your peace in the process, because that's ultimately they're saying not going to be helpful in the way that you think it will. Okay, I think we're moving in a certain direction now. Okay, why is that? What more do you want to say about that? Okay, they're showing I'm going to explain what I'm seeing and then I'm going to ask for clarification because I'm not 100% sure what they're trying to show me here. They're showing the earth and they're showing like an energy grid or power grid around the earth or around the earth, um, within the earth. And can you explain what you're showing me here? Okay, they're like, I'm hearing ley lines. I've heard this before. I don't really know what they mean though. So can you explain what that means? They're like energy centers around the world. So these ley lines are areas of like high focused frequency, they're saying, and they what? Channel energy around the energy grid of the earth in order to what? Infuse what? Can you explain what you mean? What do they do? Where do they come from? Oh, wow. Okay, sorry guys. This is like very outside my frame of reference. They're saying that we are energy bodies and our energy, we have a channel, like we are an energy channel, and our channel of energy, whatever it is that we're expressing through that energetic channel is expelled down through the earth. and feeds the power grid of the earth. And this energy flows around the atmosphere and what? How does it flow? Through the heart and where it's directed to, they're saying. And this energy is sometimes, mm, can you say that one more time? Okay, they're saying trust. This energy is sometimes diffused because we're feeling so many things and we're so bogged down by the things that we're feeling that there's no intentionality with where that energy is being focused because our thoughts are so scattered. So we don't have solid, clear intentions for what we want to do with our energy. We're just like scrambled. And so the energy is just kind of expelling off of us in all directions and just kind of diffusing into the earth. And that energy is kind of picked up by those around us who are seeking for that same energy, that same vibration. So it's kind of in the atmosphere, in the field, and those who are unconsciously feeling a need for that energy are the ones receiving it. And we're always experiencing this give and take of energy from each other. How does this relate to ley lines and a power grid? And this is like the power grid of the planet. This is how we are powering the energy of this system. It's amongst one another. And this energy just kind of flows around inside of this reality in this way. Okay, what else? Okay, they're using this power grid as just like an analogy, like it's like an electricity grid where electricity is sent through the power lines and the grid, and that's how it's distributed to the different homes and different buildings. And we have our own energy power grid. It's just not something that we necessarily can see or have the awareness of, but we feel it. They're saying we're always tuned in and tapped in. We're just so scrambled up here. The scales are so lopsided. Um, in terms of like how bogged down we feel on a day-to-day basis, stressed, tired, anxious, scattered, that we aren't necessarily fully attuned to how much we are taking on and also distributing and like our role inside of this earth power grid that we are a part of. And so they're saying when you choose to help or not to help, when you choose not to help somebody that you see as suffering because you just don't have the capacity to mentally and emotionally, you are actually preserving that energy and keeping it to yourself and in and around you, so they are not taking that on from you in the way that they would be if you were to assist them, even though you didn't feel like you were fully capable of taking that on. Can you explain that a little bit more clearly? When you choose to preserve your energy, to set up a boundary because you're feeling overwhelmed and unable to help somebody that you know would need it, and choosing not to do it anyway, you are setting the intention unconsciously or subconsciously to what? To sense, to sense what? To sense your own limitation and what? And like anchor into that frequency. Okay. So what? And you are, in a way, protecting them from taking that on as theirs. Because if you were to assist them, even though you're feeling extended, like assisting someone in this state that you're in would overly extend you and like push you like even more over the edge emotionally, mentally than you already are. You are giving them an opening to take on the energy that you have been feeling and sharing it with them. And now the two of you are burdening the same frequency of feeling overextended, feeling exhausted, feeling run down, and also feeling hopeful that this means of support will be the savior for you. However, because you're both operating from that belief system, you will continue to. So you're just sharing the belief system and the energy associated with it rather than you keeping it to yourself. Wow. Why is that? Like, how come that is? Um, and not, I have so many questions. Why is that the case though? Like, how come if you're helping somebody, wouldn't you feel lighter and then they would be very grateful and also feel lighter? They're saying that that can be the case. However, if you're assisting them because you're feeling obligated to, not because you genuinely have the desire to, from a place of like expansive, open love and comfort and compassion, like obviously there's those things there, but it's coming from a different energy. It's coming from one of feeling a sense of obligation rather than a sense of compassion, they're saying. Because you're assisting them from a place of obligation, that energy will be infused into the action that you're taking. And and if they choose to receive the help that you're offering them, they are also unknowingly choosing to receive the energy that you are infusing into that action. Wow. And they are taking it on. They are open to receiving it. And there's this give and take of energy here. You are taking on some of their burden and they are taking on some of yours. And now you are sharing it. And so, yes, it can be helpful to them in the short term and also assist them with the burden that they're carrying. However, the weight of the energy exchange will be infused into the effort put in, and they're going to be um, taking on that burden, that energy in some capacity, and it's going to be channeled through them in some capacity. So they're going to be feeling the weight of it somehow, some way. However, if you choose to recognize that you, one, don't have the capacity mentally or emotionally to help them, and you are recognizing that overextending yourself at this time is not necessarily what you want to do, and therefore you don't feel the obligation to do that, then you are protecting them from shouldering the burden that you're already carrying, knowing that they're saying there will be someone else who will see them and who will attempt to assist them, perhaps from a different place. And if they choose to receive that help from that energetic place, that they will take that on instead and be affected by that differently. How do you know that someone else will help them though? Because sometimes that's not true. They're saying it's always true. You just don't have the capacity to always see it that way. They're saying the universe always supports. And so even if it doesn't seem like they received the assistance that they needed, they did on some level. Wow. Like you're saying like even if they don't survive the ordeal, they are still being taken care of. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're implying? Can you answer that question in a way that I can understand? What's being relayed to me is that there's always some help, always, that's offered, and it's up to that person to recognize it and to accept it. And sometimes they choose not to recognize that it's there and therefore don't accept it or recognize it, but choose not to accept it anyway for some reason. I don't understand that. What does that mean that there's always help offered? There has to be a desire to receive it. And if the desire to receive help is there, then if the desire to receive help is there, then what? Then help is always available. And so if it doesn't seem like they received any assistance, it's because there's a part of them that wasn't open to receiving it and didn't want to receive it, didn't feel worthy of receiving it, wasn't in a place of being able to recognize that they had the option to ask. Wow, this is really taking a turn I didn't anticipate. They're saying ultimately they want you to recognize that everything comes down to choice. You have a choice on how to move through this world and give and take of your own energy. And you can choose to withhold your energy from another person, knowing that it's your prerogative to do so, knowing that they also have choices available to them too. It might not seem like they do, but they do. And they can choose to ask for help or not. They can choose to accept help or not, but it's not up to you to save them from their pain and from their lack of being able to perceive their own choices. That is their path and their journey, and this is yours. And it might not seem fair that you have more choices more visibly and apparently available to you than they do, but what? that is simply your lack of awareness of their true situation and their lack of awareness of what? Their lack of awareness of what? What they deeply desire most, which is sometimes to suffer in silence. Wow. So they're essentially giving you a pass here. You don't always have to be everybody's savior. And sometimes in feeling like you need to be, you're doing them a disservice that you don't even realize is happening. Can you get a little bit more into if you feel obligated to help somebody? I mean, there's still compassion there, although you said that there's obligation, not compassion. Can you explain what you meant by that? They want you to get really serious with yourself. If you choose to help somebody, even though you don't want to, and even though you feel like you don't have the capacity to, is it coming from a place of openness, of worthiness, of freedom, of peace? Or is it coming from a place of shame, place of regret, either avoiding regret or living with past regret, or a place of wanting to control future karmic outcomes, like a place of wanting to protect yourself? And they're saying there's always compassion there because you're a compassionate person, but that's not what they're saying. They're not saying that you're devoid of compassion and this is coming strictly from like a selfish place. What they're saying is this action that you're taking that you don't want to be taking that you're doing anyway is infused with shame and fear and wanting to protect yourself further from those feelings and sacrificing your peace in the now, hoping that you'll somehow create more peace in the future in doing so. And you are unloading that burden onto them, not even realizing that you're doing that. And there's this exchange of energy and also self-sacrifice taking place. Because what is a self-sacrifice in the person receiving your assistance? Hmm. What is a self-sacrifice on behalf of the person receiving your assistance in that energy exchange? They're they're saying that there's an awareness that they can be receiving assistance from a different frequency, and they're choosing to receive it from this frequency because they also are feeling shame. It's kind of like the two of you are on exactly the same frequency and you're finding each other, and and yeah, that's exactly what's happening. The two of you are vibrating at the same energetic level, and that's why you're finding each other, coming together and having this exchange. And the only way to shift your energy and allow them to shift theirs is to make a different choice, to choose your own peace and create a boundary and protect your energy. And that is setting you on a different path. And it's opening them to do the same and to receive assistance from someone on a different frequency as well. And they have to be willing to choose that, and you have to be willing to choose this too. This is really specific. Okay, I want to wrap this up. What is like a final message that you have for all of us with within the context of this conversation? So the finger pointing at the beginning of this message, which was a finger pointing in a specific direction with a clear intention. And the intention was to go into the mind and out through the eye and observing the world that you see around you. And they want you to be very clear with the intentions that you have for where you're directing your energy. Because where you're directing your energy will send you off into a direction where you will attract what's attract what? Attract and find what you already know to be true. And what you already know to be true is what you're already experiencing within you. And so if you continue to operate from a place of where you already are, then all you will find is what you already know. However, if you make a different choice, one that might feel uncomfortable, but one that feels true to who you are and what you actually want, even if there's some shame there inside of that choice or judgment of that choice, if it serves you at the deepest level, it will set you off in a direction where you will find somebody else who will come into your life that will have an exchange of that new energy. And they will help you and you will help them, but it'll be on a different frequency. And this is how you create circumstances and meet people and find yourself in different situations and in scenarios and realities that both mimic how you're feeling and where you're at energetically, and also other people who are on that same frequency. And the only way to change your reality and change the types of people coming into your life are by being true to you, making choices that are truly aligned with your deepest desires and not the ones that you feel like you should be doing for any particular reason. Wow. Is there anything else you want to say? They're saying, yes, feel what's within and allow that to guide you. If you don't have a necessarily a strong direction or sense of intention of where you want to go, it's only because you're not taking the time to feel what's really here. The deepest desires that lie within you, that is going to tell you where you want to go and what you really want and what direction you really want to take. And it's up to you to get really clear with what that is and honest with yourself about what's wanted and why you haven't been willing to acknowledge it and follow it until now. And when you choose to make a different choice, everything around you will look and feel differently too. And those around you um, will look and feel differently too, because you will be choosing to find them and they will be choosing to find you. Wow. Wow. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. This was challenging to channel, I will say. I didn't think about things in this way ever. So Thank you for bearing with me through a little bit of my struggle with this. But I did ask them to challenge me. So I'm thanking them for doing that. Um, Thank you for joining me today. If there's anything that you have on your mind that you would like to explore in a future episode, comment below. Otherwise, like this video and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of these and learn more from Spirit in future episodes. And I'll see you next week. Bye.